These are the best days. These are the best days. These are the best days of our lives. Of our lives. Yeah. These are the best days.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Crying and Dying with Adam and Lizzie. We are so excited to have you here today with us for another fun episode. I really hope that if this is the first episode you're listening to or the 8th episode you're listening to, I hope that you've been enjoying our conversations and just the fun stuff that we have been recording and planning. And if you haven't gotten caught up, we'd love to see you catch up on episodes because we've talked about a lot of fun stuff and we love hearing from you anytime you listen and you can relate to an episode. So as always, send us a DM or write us a review if you really liked an episode. We love you guys, so keep hanging out with us. Adam, what had you crying and dying this week?
Oh my goodness. I'm officially announcing that I have built kind of the bread and butter of the Crying and Dying website.
Woohoo!
So I would love everybody to go to cryinganddying.com and check out our website.
It's lit, fam.
Yeah, it's very pink. At first I was like, is this too girly? But I'm like, no, I like the colors.
I love our colors, and I'm not a pink person. You wouldn't see pink in my house.
Yeah, I really like it. So when you get to our website, I don't want to call it a placeholder at this point. It might change and I might talk about something and it might not be there tomorrow.
It's an evolving work in progress.
Very much so. When I was making this, I was like, Lizzie and I know what crying and dying means. But I was like, have we really told our people truly what crying and dying means? And it has lots of different meanings. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. So I'm going to talk about that first real quick. And you can read this on our website under the About the Show on the website. So crying and dying at this point is a noun and it's an adjective. So on the website, I made kind of definitions of crying and dying. So I wanted to read these because the words crying and dying, like separately, are depressing. You wouldn't be like, oh, I'm just crying today. Like,
I think of it as a funny conversation that is you're laughing and crying because it was so funny.
Yeah. So it's like when the words are together, it takes on a whole different meaning. I'm going to read through these definitions and then I'm going to use the word in a sentence because I think it's funny. Definition 1, as crying and dying is an adjective, a genuine feeling about a question or concern. Sentence. Whoa, that story had me crying and dying.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Definition 2, something that is unbelievable in some way, shape, or form, an event worthy of memory. Sentence. I can't believe that crying and dying story Aunt Susie just told. Is she okay?
Amen.
And I was like, we don't have an Aunt Susie. And if we do, this isn't about an Aunt Susie.
Yeah.
Definition 3, something that is so funny it might make you cry. Girl, you had me crying and dying last night.
Mm-hmm.
4, coming to the realization that it is really all in your head and that you are the master of your own universe. Sentence. Holy crying and dying, I finally get it.
Oh my gosh. That's so good.
5.
5.
Positive description. There's 6.
Holy crap.
Positive description of a fun, loving, caring, honest, great person. Aunt Susie had a heart of crying and dying gold. Okay, that one was pushing it a little.
Yeah.
You can go to our website to read about it as a noun. So, I don't know.
I have an important question.
Oh, go.
Did any of these come from the Urban Dictionary?
Yeah.
Really? I like Urban Dictionary. Well, it was funny when I was a teenager, in 2009 when I needed to figure out what kids were saying on the bus and I couldn't keep up with the slang. But now, someone who is not a young teenager anymore, I am terrified of the Urban Dictionary because every time I look up a phrase that I need to find, I'm usually mortified. I usually find something that I didn't need to ever find. I've learned many things that I did need to like understand because I couldn't keep up in someone's conversation, but then like later realized, wow, that was a really awful conversation that I couldn't follow, and I regret everything I just looked up.
Well, there's that. Usually the definition on Urban Dictionary is not always what they mean, and it's an exaggerated version of that.
Oh, sure.
So it's like even more intense.
Mm.
And just don't go on Urban Dictionary and like search for your name, because it's usually like somebody that obviously made something up, but it's like
Right.
somebody that they don't like anymore.
And that will be every single person's name. You have a name that someone doesn't like.
Yeah. But if you're ever just bored, actually, let's say, Mom, please don't go to Urban Dictionary.
Oh, I think
Lizzie's mom, please don't go to Urban Dictionary.
she's going to, now that we mentioned it. I know for
Oh
a
my gosh.
fact she's Googling it right now.
Well, we are not endorsing it. This is not a paid sponsorship.
Please don't log into Urban Dictionary during working hours. Please do it after hours in the safety of your own home. You don't want your boss coming across this.
Yeah. Don't do it on like a work computer.
Clear your browser history afterwards.
Girl, they can find you. That doesn't do anything.
Right.
We're not responsible for any loss that comes out of you going to the Urban Dictionary.
Mm-hmm. You heard it here first, people.
You're welcome. And that was a legal disclosure.
Legally binding.
Yeah, so that's about this week. Anything that's, deserves a mention. So so the other things on our website, like last week, Lizzie talked about a couple things, and we had some links to images. So stuff like that's going to be on our website, where if we ever talk about something, we can link it on our website. We usually link it in the episode description. You can also find, if somebody can't find our podcast for, God forbid, whatever reason, I don't know why, we're on like 87 platforms, and I have a link to most of them on there.
There's no excuse. You should be able to hear us anywhere. And if you don't have an app on your device, you can just listen directly on your desktop.
Yes,
This is not hard.
you can listen on our website.
For free.
And then also the things that we talk about on the show, you can go there and check those out there as well. There's also some, I'm calling it like a hidden game on the website. It's really silly, but if you find the game, let me know.
That's so great.
I don't know if anybody's found it.
I haven't even tried it yet. I know what I'm doing this afternoon. So basically, if we stumble upon it, if you know, you'll know.
You'll know.
You'll know. Hey, I'm ready. I'm going to check it out later.
So Lizzie, tell me, what had you crying and dying this past week?
Man, mine isn't nearly as cool as yours. I would say like I had miscellaneous things that were cool or fun or whatever. It was kind of just like a regular week of work, but yesterday for like a few minutes, maybe like an hour of my day, I just got the sudden urge to like reorganize my bathroom. And okay, it's good. I just really love like having like a nice, like aesthetically pleasing space, but like in all areas of my home. And so I just loved like I like reorganized everything. But like if you've ever like reorganized or cleaned out like a closet or like a cupboard or like your makeup or whatever, it feels like almost like you have like a new things like feel new all of a sudden, even if they like aren't. And I have like a lot of like glass bottles from like the skincare that I use is all natural, like oil based. And so I like switched from using lotion. I just switched to using jojoba oil. And I like it came in like just kind of a boring plastic like squeeze bottle from the health food store. I put it in a more aesthetic glass bottle, and I feel like really bougie because all of the bottles on my counter in the bathroom all like are the same matching aesthetic with their like glass, like the amber colored glass. And it just
Watch out.
it's just, if you're a 4 on the Enneagram, you have this vibe. So that's just a nice little thing about that.
Well, I'm glad that the highlight of your week
Oh my gosh.
was cleaning and organizing your bathroom.
You know what? I actually had something really fun that happened on Wednesday. That's more fun
Oh.
than cleaning my bathroom.
Okay, I'm
Oh
excited.
my gosh, there's this. So I live in South Dakota, but there's this concert that in the summertime they do a concert series in the park every Wednesday night, and it's always like an acoustic thing. I really, really wanted to go because the artist that was playing is like from my part of Wyoming. He's like a Wyoming delicacy. You know what? Let's just look him up on the Instagram. His name's Jelon Crossland, and he's a real deal, like hillbilly kind of bluegrass guy. He's very cool. Very like, if bluegrass is your vibe, he's your guy. And every summer for like the last 3 summers, like he's been trying to come to our town to play the summer series. Last summer was, everything was shut down from the Rona. The summer before that, there was like a horrible hailstorm. We showed up for the concert. He sang one song and then the whole park got decimated with this awful hailstorm. That's normal out here. And then something else happened the year before that. I don't know. He finally got to play his show. One of my girlfriends went with me, and we were basically like smiling and clapping for the whole 2 hours. We were very happy. It was very fun. And then it started to storm the minute the concert was over with. The minute it was over with, like torrential rains, winds, mild hail. As soon as I got home, it was crazy.
I feel like the hail is going to give you PTSD in your life.
Well, I mean,
from like last summer.
Like seriously, I stood in my window and I helplessly watched both my vehicles get destroyed. There was nothing I could do. And I just stood there. And like when the storm was over, I went outside and all my neighbors, everyone was outside just taking inventory of what happened to their vehicles. Plenty of other people, the same thing happened. Like some of them just got windshields replaced. I watched several other people's cars get towed and they just replaced their vehicle or whatever. But yeah, every time like I love summer storms. I'm one of those people in the Midwest, like they say, take shelter now. No, that's when you go sit on your porch, you take some pictures, get a LaCroix, sip on that, watch the storm.
I think that
come
runs
through.
in the family. My dad is I don't know what you call that person. I think of like a pyro, like somebody
like
that really
junkie.
loves fire. I just like the word pyro. I wish there was like a better word for that person.
Fire isn't happening during a hailstorm.
Well, true, but comparing it to that kind of a person, like
Sure.
They just like setting stuff on fire and that like gives them joy.
I mean, even if the sirens are going off, I'm still outside watching.
That's just like an announcement that, it's really bad out.
Yeah.
So you should go look.
I did discover last summer that if you are aware that a storm is coming, you'll be able to hear the sirens. But I noticed like we don't live that close to the nearest siren because like I heard it go off. But like I think if I'd like been in the like back part of our apartment, I probably wouldn't have heard it. I wouldn't have known. So I did learn that it isn't that loud in my neighborhood.
Well, interesting.
There's magic in the air, and it feels so right. Yeah, yeah.
So let's get into a different topic.
Yeah.
So this week we are gonna start a new, I don't know, whatever we want to call it. Things you didn't know you needed to know.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I had like a song I could play with this.
Oh yeah.
Or something, because that would be really fun. But we're going to talk about things that may not be fun or exciting or funny, but they might be.
Maybe.
That you didn't know you needed to know.
Maybe you'll learn something and you'll be like, wow, why do Lizzie and Adam know about these things? You'll find out.
Well, from my side, I'd be like, because he's insane. Oh. So, oh gosh, which one do I want to go with? How about I start with the one that's kind of funny?
I'm excited. Also, everybody, I have no idea what Adam's going to say today. He might have an idea of what I'll talk about, but I am I'll be completely as surprised as you with whatever he says today.
Yes. So the first thing, how to be an expert TV show audience person. Dun, dun, dun. Things you didn't know you needed to know. I am proud to say that I have been in a few live television show program audiences. Yes, I said program.
Oh my gosh, you did.
I did. First thing, if you want to be in the audience of a TV show, I'm not going to say this is the only way, but this is how I did it, and it worked really well. And I don't know, COVID may have ruined this, but anywho. So you obviously need to plan a trip, unless you live in these places, of a city that would have shows. So New York, Los Angeles.
Obviously not the Midwest, anywhere.
Yeah. What you'll need to do is you'll need to go on your friend Google and search for anything like live or like audience member tickets to TV shows. Or if you have a show that you like,
Jerry Springer.
yeah, you'll usually go to the show, you'll get on the show's website, and then they'll link you to where you get tickets. Get tickets before you go. That's like
Perfect.
important.
I'm ready.
Because a lot of the shows, they'll book more audience people than they have room for because people don't always show up and people are flaky.
And they're free, right? So like there's less of an obligation to show up if it was free.
Everything I've done is free. I don't know if that's the case always, but I would think it is. I don't know. The show needs you more than you need them.
Right.
So you want to get your tickets early. All of the shows I've gone to, there's two different categories of tickets. There was priority tickets. So that's more of a guarantee that you're going to get in the audience. And the other was like
standby.
It wasn't standby. It was a little more like firm, like you're going to probably get in, but it was something to that effect.
Or like just general admission.
Yeah, it was probably something like that. So you want to get priority tickets. So after you get your tickets and you get your priority tickets, yay, you'll get told what the call time is for the show. So usually it's several hours before the show starts, which really sucks.
So you need to be there before?
Yeah.
Like, oh, great.
So, for example, if a show starts at 9 a.m., don't be surprised if you have to get there between 6 and 7 a.m.
For free. You're not paying for this.
Yes. In the hours before the show starts, it's a lot of people herding, is what I'm going to call it.
Sure.
A lot of waiting. Nothing super fun. One of the shows gave us snacks and stuff, but I wouldn't think that's probably normal. So I'm going to name drop some of the shows I've been in because I don't know. I've been in the audience of Live with Kelly and Ryan twice.
Yeah, you have.
That was really fun. Both times I did not get a great seat. So at Kelly and Ryan, it's hard to explain. Basically, the other thing that's really fascinating about TV shows is the studios are really little. You think everything looks so big on TV, and it's not. At Kelly and Ryan, they have a balcony area, and I was in that area. And then there's seats that are kind of where you could like shake their hand, kind of like on like the show floor, kind of. I don't know what you call that. So I was in this balcony area, which I didn't love, but whatever, it is what it is. For Kelly and Ryan, I think I had to get there at 7, I want to say. I had priority tickets and I didn't get a great seat. So that says something.
Interesting.
And I was by myself. So if you have like a party of like 4 people,
be seated together. Yeah.
It's even more of a reason to get there early. Usually probably 15 to 30 minutes, maybe at the earliest, that you actually get in the set of the show. They'll like herd you in. It's really weird. There's lots of security, so you won't really be able to do anything crazy. You'll usually be at like pictures are cool. It's nothing like that. They're just making sure you like don't touch.
Yeah.
Look, but don't touch. And don't like get out of your seat. Think of like elementary school.
Right. Hands in your pockets.
Yeah. And then they'll usually have like a warm-up person, which is kind of weird.
Like an opener?
Yeah. Kelly and Ryan didn't really have a pump you up kind of opener, which is hard to explain. Every show's a little different in that aspect.
Sure.
And then they go over things like I don't know what you call him, the producer.
Sure.
Will like have like a sign, not like a sign like written, but like a signal when they want you to clap. Or when they want you to clap, like, you know, just like normal clap. And then there's like woohoo claps.
Hooting and hollering.
Yeah. They'll teach you those signs because that's very important. And then they'll practice that with you.
Nice.
Yes. So that's super fun. Like that kind of stuff happens. And then it's finally time for the show. It's so exciting. Kelly Ripa has got to be 90 pounds and like 2 feet tall. Like, she is tiny.
Yeah.
Ryan Seacrest is also tiny.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact. The other thing on Kelly and Ryan that they used to do was they have travel trivia. So if you know the show, you know what that means. I'm not really going to explain it.
Sure.
But this thing they were doing was they had a travel trivia dancer. So that's somebody from the audience. And it's like when that part of the show came, it was like confetti, kind of like woohoo. And this person would like dance. And it was a whole weird.
That sounds very weird.
Obviously, I was not part of that because that is not my identity at all.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing they did before the show was if you wanted to be the travel trivia dancer, you like woohooed and like shook your hand. And then Gelman's like, okay, picked like 5 people. And they had like really fast, I don't want to call it like a tryout, but kind of.
Sure.
And then they pick that person and then the show starts. So one time I was there, Kristen Chenoweth was there.
Oh, it was probably the same size as Kelly.
She's smaller, I think.
Tiniest thing I've ever seen. But like, wow, what a woman. Oh, to meet her in person. Oh.
This was when one of her albums came out. She sang one of Dolly Parton's songs and it live. And it was like, it was so good. But the other people that were, right. But the other people that were on the show, I can't remember the lady's name, but it's George Stephanopoulos' wife.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember her name, but she's really funny.
That's great.
She was on, and then it was like some other people I didn't know. I don't know. Hopefully you get a good day where like somebody you know and you like, because that's even more exciting.
Yeah, but you never know.
Yeah. The show ends. So with Kelly and Ryan, most of their episodes are live, but not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the beginning parts are pre-recorded. And I was there when they like did like 2 episodes essentially, which was really cool.
That's cool.
So I was there more than an hour. I was like probably an hour and a half, maybe. Then the show ends and they're like, get out. Like, it's really awkward.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, like, okay, we're done. I'm not going to talk about as many details on this next show, but I don't know why I got tickets to this show, but I was in the audience of The View. People have a lot of opinions about the show.
That's fine.
I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I like a lot of the people individually, but sometimes when they're together, it's a little crazy.
But I think some of the crazy is like scripted, or at least like they foster an environment that creates.
Yeah. It's it's an opinion show.
Yeah.
It's called The View. If
you don't like their opinions, don't watch it.
Right. I love Whoopi.
Yeah, she's cool.
Joy. I love Joy. Joy Behar.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another person that is very controversial, and she's actually leaving the show this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't hate Meghan McCain. She's Republican, but I think she comes from a different place than
other Republicans.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's a lot of things that she's a little crazy about. But that's what makes the show is you don't want to have everybody on there with the same opinion, because that's not good TV.
Yeah.
So
it's boring if you and your friends all have the exact same opinion on everything. That's boring too. I like having friends and people in my life that are different from me.
Exactly.
Because it's more fun.
Yes. So that show was all, it starts a little later, but you still had to get there early. And it was just like lots of waiting. It was really annoying. But when I was at that show, I was sunburnt really, 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 really bad. And I was on camera. Like you could see me for like a solid 30 seconds. It was just focused on me. It was focused on somebody else, obviously, but I was like right there.
That makes me really, really happy.
That was rough. That was painful sunburn. Ugh, I can still feel that.
We can put the picture in the show notes. Oh, I was getting coffee with a friend this week, and I was describing, I don't know how we got on the topic, but I combed through your Facebook account so I could find the picture so I could show it to her.
That one?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
She was the one that when you were texting me the other Wednesday morning, she was the one I was hanging out with. I showed her that picture. It was, I mean, you looked good. You were sunburned, but you still looked good. So congratulations.
I was a few pounds lighter then, but not at any kind of goal weight. The other time I was at Kelly and Ryan, the people I sat by were actually from Iowa. which was really insane.
I feel like that's a destiny. Like if you're from Iowa, you're from the Midwest, like naturally you will find another Midwesterner wherever you go. It's just like in the cards. It's written in the stars, whatever.
But like we lived in like the same city in Des Moines.
That's beautiful.
And they were like from one of the suburbs. They were obviously nice because, you know, hashtag Iowa nice is a thing. The other show that is worth mentioning was I was in what's called the backstage audience of America's Got Talent.
That is pretty stinking cool.
Yeah. Gosh. So America's Got Talent is obviously a much larger audience than a talk show because it's not like this is like a seasonal show. I originally got tickets to be in like the audience part where you like see the people. A couple days before the show when I was in California, I got an email and they needed people to be in the backstage audience. And I was like, oh, that sounds exciting. Let me tell you, it was the worst. It was so boring.
Oh.
I literally sat for like 4 hours and like played on my phone.
Oh, that makes me sad. Wait, couldn't you, if you had hated it, like, could you have just gotten up and left?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they never told us when to leave. So I'm like,
so you're just hanging. Oh, I would. That would have happened to me too. If they don't tell you when to leave, you don't know what to do. I would have done the same thing.
So that's like the negative part of it. So fun fact, you may not know this. I don't know if it's this way on these kinds of shows. So when the camera goes to like the backstage and you see all these people kind of sitting or like
chilling, hanging out.
Fun fact, they're not all auditioners. Some of them were people like me who were essentially space fillers.
Imported from the Midwest.
Yep. I was not on any TV for that one, so that was a bummer. What was cool was I was sitting really close to a lot of the performers, but in the audience, you didn't know what they were there for. You didn't know if they were a space filler like you or not.
That's really great.
Yeah. So then when you watch the show and you see the people, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was like 4 feet from them. And I would have lost my if I would have known how amazing and talented they were.
Right? Or were you allowed to talk to people like that you were sitting near? Are you allowed to like make small talk?
Yeah, but like there were no instruction. Like it was so weird.
Here's your seat. Have a nice day.
But they didn't even really tell you that much. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I probably could have like gone and wandered the studio, like and probably
that would have been good.
Gotten in trouble.
But like that would have been a better, maybe not a better story, but like more fun.
Yeah, it's really funny. So I have a couple videos from being backstage. One is really funny because it's just so bizarre. So I don't know, maybe I'll share that one. And then
that's cool.
There's one person that I still follow today because she's amazing. She got to the like semifinals. There's all these words, but she didn't like get cut at the beginning.
But she didn't win.
She didn't win, but she didn't really lose.
Cool.
I don't know if that's a thing.
Yeah.
Her name's Christina Wells. Christina with a C. She is a singer from Texas. And her story, this is what I really love about her, is basically she's a larger person and basically didn't like fulfill her dreams of being a singer because basically somebody told her that she wasn't the image they were looking for and that she was too big.
That's not fair.
And she basically didn't do what she wanted to do for most of her life. And then 20 years later, she auditioned and like got a standing ovation from like all of the judges, including Simon Cowell, which was really amazing.
It's a big deal.
But she follows me on Instagram, so.
Oh my gosh, you're the coolest guy. Let's make sure we give her a shout out when we post this episode.
Yeah, she's just so nice.
Aww. Things you didn't know you needed to know about being a studio audience member.
Yeah. So when you watch a TV show and you see the audience, just think, I wonder how many hours they had to wait to get seated just to see this crappy show.
I wonder if they're having fun.
It's usually fun, like when the show's going on, but it's like,
That's interesting.
you don't want to know how the sausage is made, but it's really interesting.
I listened to an episode. There's a podcast I really enjoy on Spotify called Every Little Thing. And they just answer like people's like crazy random questions. And it's super fun. And one of them was about being a studio audience member. And like basically there's some people who are like not professionals necessarily, but like some of them do get paid or like they just do so many of them. And so it was a really neat episode. I mean, they said a lot of the same things as you, but just about like being an audience member. Like some shows are really specific, like those drama ones like Maury or Jerry Springer or whatever, like the audience is like trained to like react really like wildly, but like in reality you probably wouldn't have.
Obviously, you're not going to see that at The View.
It was interesting to learn about that.
I do know some of the people that were backstage, people that weren't auditioning, I think were getting paid. So I would
have been too. Yeah.
But anywho, I didn't get to see like, and then I just didn't get to see like Simon and Mel B.
Mm-hmm.
This is she was, and Tyra Banks. Like I didn't get to see any of them.
Mm-hmm.
But anywho, it was still fun. It was more fun to watch when it came on TV because I like had a vested interest in it.
So
oh yeah.
follow if you did, and you'll see the light shine so bright.
So Lizzie, what do you have to tell us about that you didn't know we needed to know?
Things you didn't know that you needed to know about the shoe industry. So I worked retail for 2 years. As I like was building up my marketing company like from home, I was also working retail to like just kind of cover the rest of the bills and like have the freedom to like be working on building this up. And so I worked in what is called a sit and fit store. So this isn't like your famous Footwear or whatever. You just walk in ripping boxes off the shelf like a moron. This is like a really classy place. Like everything's at a little bit higher price point. Like I waited on customers much in the same way you would, I mean, like, I don't know, maybe Nordstrom or like just like a nicer store. I like waited on people. If that was like appropriate. Some people like were happy to just like shop around and look around themselves, but a lot of people liked the experience of being waited on. And so things to know: have good foot care. Like take care of your feet. Like you don't get to replace them. So don't don't wear crappy shoes, people. Like Skechers are not going to help your back problems. Like they're not going to like memory foam. Here's another, like I have so many things. Oh my gosh. Okay. Memory foam inserts. Please stop wearing them. They're not helping you. They break down so fast. They're fun. They feel good at first, but they break down so fast that they're going to cause you more problems than not. You need if you need arch support, then like you need a high firm arch. Like stop messing around with squishy whatevers. If your heel is hurt, like if your feet hurt from like you work like 12-hour shifts, you're on your feet like waiting tables or like work in a hospital or something. Honey, if your feet hurt really bad, like part of it is like just general, like you will be fatigued. Put on some compression socks. That'll help a lot. But like more often than not, like people's problems, if they would like just shut up and take my advice, you probably have plantar fasciitis. If like you have like a stabbing, like needle-y type feeling in like if your feet in the morning after you like worked a long shift, if you wake up in the morning and you stand up and you just feel like this pins and needles feeling, if you just feel like your feet need to be in a pair of shoes, like first thing in the morning, like, I don't know. I'm not here to diagnose you, but you probably have plantar fasciitis, and that is not the time, my friend, to step into something squishy. It sounds like a good idea. That's what your instincts are going to tell you. But what really is going to solve your problem is you need to stretch the tendon in the bottom of your foot with a high firm arch. Okay, that's like one rant.
Wow, that's pretty intense.
I I had a few, like in the store, like we carried a few different brands of arch supports. And like when people, like I would ask them like a checklist, I would give them just the disclaimer, like, hey, I'm not a podiatrist, like I can't diagnose you, but like, can I ask you a few questions? And like, if they said yes to all of my questions, I would say like, hey, I'm betting you have plantar fasciitis. Like you can definitely like go to the clinic, like ask to see a podiatrist, or like you can just buy these inserts. Like I wasn't being salesy in any like way. I was just like, I think I know the solution for your problem and it's these inserts. And you know what? I had customers many, like more than once or twice. I had many times customers would come back into the store to buy a second pair and to tell me that like I made a huge difference in their life by just like helping them change the way they like, the way you interact with your feet is important. And it like will make the difference between like a good day and a bad day, or like how you perform at work or whatever. So
would you say my flip-flops that I'm wearing are not helping my life?
no, stop wearing them. Like your Old Navy flip-flops, like they are doing like so much more harm than good. Like please stop.
I'm going to wear them.
I can recommend.
Unless you say it's going to like make me grow a tail or something.
Oh man. I would also say like more often than not, and I think this is maybe like something with like the older generation, there was like a lot of shame in like needing a larger size in shoes. Like I would have lots of little bitty old ladies that would come in and they'd say like they wanted, you used to be able to order or like purchase shoes, like the heel size would be like, you could order a custom heel size. So like a triple A or an A heel would be like the tiniest, like most narrow, like I don't even know if you'd have a heel with a triple A. For women's feet, like a B width is average. And for men's shoes, a D width is average. And so like little old ladies would come in there like basically wanting like a children's size shoe with like the narrowest possible heel, like, and we just like, they just don't make shoes like that anymore. So it was really hard sometimes to explain to people like how the shoe industry has changed. It was also like tough sometimes to explain to them like availability, like ordering from different companies is different. Like it's not like you can just place like one massive order with every shoe company you ever want to carry in the store. Like it's brand by brand, and each company has different policies and shipping and different like manufactured in different countries. And I might like rock the boat here. Let's talk about manufacturing for just a second. I might rock the boat here, but that's okay. It's fine. Some people would come into the store and be like really aggressive with me saying, I'm only purchasing shoes made in the USA, like, but they'd be like really aggressive with me about it. And I would take the opportunity to like educate them. In some brands, many of the cases that I experienced, their shoes, there's a region in China that is like specific, like it's like the best like shoe manufacturing like place in the world. Like these people, I don't want to say like it's just like a labor mill or like sweatshop. Like these people are trained, like they have like a specific skill set to make shoes versus a facility in the US who's maybe just bringing in whoever applied. And they're just like, you know, watched a few videos and they're just like kind of doing what they're trained to do, but they haven't like been educated or have like a long history of knowing how to manufacture shoes. I would honestly like show customers the difference in construction. Like, yes, this shoe is made in China and I see that you're mad about that, but the construction on the price point's better. The construction is better. And, you know, whatever shoe it was, I'd kind of go through the different points of the shoe with them, the different specs. And so that isn't to say like things can totally change, but in some instances, I did have to like educate people on like the difference in manufacturing when there were tariffs on stuff being imported from China, and a lot of the shoe companies had to switch to other countries. Boy, did we see like a huge change in quality, in fit. There is one brand we carried, half their inventory would come from China, half their inventory would come from Mexico. And the stuff that came from China, like construction was great. The fit was very accurate. We had a really hard time selling the stuff that was manufactured at the Mexico facility because the sizing was so much, it was so off that we like had to mark stuff down like significantly just to get it to move because the sizing was so messed up. The construction was, well, sometimes the construction was fine, but the sizing was so different and people take their size very personally. And I'm like, guys, like, you know, like a size 8 pair of pants in one brand is going to be different from another. Like that happens with shoes too. So stop taking it personally that like you had to go up a whole size or half size in another brand. Like, wow, people take their shoe size really personally. Everybody stop it. Like it's just a number. It is not a reflection of you. I feel like, so with women, if you have really small feet, you're able to bridge the gap like between like adult and kid sizes. If you base it on the European size, I'm a size 6 shoe, and generally, like, I'm generalizing, so don't get mad at me about sizes, guys, because I've had people get mad at me about this. Generally, a European size 36 or a 35 is usually like a US size 6. So if you are a person like me who maybe wants to like try like to like fit into a kid's shoe, don't look at the kid's shoe size because that's going to mess you up. Like a youth size 6 is a women's 9. So for me, I would be looking for a youth size 4 to fit my size 6, but instead I just look inside the shoe and look at the European size. So for like women, or like if you have kids, like, you know, younger girls who are like almost ready to wear adult shoes, that's a really hard time, guys. When parents would bring in their like middle school, high school aged kids that like were just at that in-between zone. The kids' shoes are too small, the grown-up shoes are too big. I don't have any good solutions. It just sucks, but it hopefully doesn't last long. But if you're trying to bridge between those kinds of things, or just bridging the gap between like one brand or another, I will generally say if you shop based on your European size, it's a little bit easier. Like it's not perfect, but it's a little more universal. Gosh. And I would also say when you're shopping in a shoe store, if you are like a special size, like most stores, men's sizing, they're going to carry a men's 8 through 14 or an 8 through 12. Anything above a 14, they're going to have to special order for you, and you're probably not going to be able to try it on first. You're going to have to pay ahead or whatever.
I mean, I know that sucks, but I think that's unfortunately normal.
Yeah. Like you're just going to have to expect, like, I can give you a 14 to try on. Yeah, it's going to be a little snug and it's not going to be the same as getting a 15, but like it's easier for shoe stores to order up. Like I think the largest, maybe in like men's work boots I ever saw was maybe a 15 or a 16. Anything above that, that's in the territory of like custom footwear, and that's not going to be in like a brand that you're familiar with. It's probably going to be something custom, or like you're just going to have to go to a specialty store. Unfortunately, for men with small feet, which I occasionally ran into, or men with very narrow feet, it was rare, but I ran into a guy that did have a AAA width. I mean, his feet, it was really sad. He was a size 8. Men's 8 is pretty small. That's the equivalent of a women's size 10. He had very small feet for a man, and they were so skinny. I mean, they looked like skis. And I say that like I was really sad for him because there was no shoe I could ever imagine. Like no women's shoe. There was nothing I could find that would even possibly fit him. So if you're a man with like a tricky width, if you're like a 2E or 4E, like a really wide width, that's like easier to find and accommodate for. But if you're a man with a narrow foot, like you're probably going to be offered something in the women's section, or you're going to have to custom order something.
That's like kind of insulting to the person. Like they could probably take it personally.
And I always approached it really gently and really carefully. And I can think of 2 gentlemen ever that their feet were too narrow for every single shoe I had in the store. I approached it really gently, but also it wasn't anything they hadn't heard before. And I made sure I was really respectful and still offered them a good experience. But like if you're a man like wanting something smaller than a size, like a men's 7 or a men's 8 is the smallest you'll ever see in a retail store. Otherwise, they are just going to offer you like a women's equivalent, like small men's shoes. Just like it just isn't. The demand is so minimal. And I would say the same with women. Like it's easier, like with women, if your feet are smaller than a size 5, they're going to try, like sometimes you can make a kid's shoe work if, you know, it isn't too like, you know, rainbow colored or whatever. But for little old ladies who wear like a size 3, size 4, and they want that like really narrow heel, it just like, they just don't make them like that anymore. And I would just always do my best to like in the store, you're not like, they're not even labeled anymore as like AAA heel or A heel. Like it'll just be like regular or narrow. There isn't like a double narrow or extra narrow. Like with women's shoes these days, if you're wanting like something more than just the narrow offering, I always tried to put women in like, there's some brands that would run narrow, and I would just put them in the narrow size in the narrow, like the brand that ran kind of narrow. But even then, like I feel like many ladies are really obsessed with any room in their shoes. I like room for my toes because I have a sensory issue that if my toes are cramped, like I lose my mind.
That's why I don't like socks.
Huh. That's interesting. It's so strange to see like people's behaviors about shoes. They like the last thing a woman wants is like a shoe that's even like a half size too big. And their toes are all messed up. Everybody's got ingrown toes and they've got like all kinds of like podiatry issues because they've always worn small shoes, cheap shoes, no arch support or whatever. And they just didn't know how to take care of their feet. Like, guys, if you want to take care of your feet, stop cramming your feet into shoes that are too small. I'm always going to recommend, like, try going up a half size and, like, work on your mindset.
So I hadn't thought of this when you brought this topic up.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about this. So before I was working where I'm at today, I worked in healthcare for 12 years. One thing I got certified in when I was working in healthcare, I am a certified diabetic shoe fitter.
Oh, Lord. Thank goodness, because I'm not.
It doesn't take much to get that certification, but I've seen some stuff when people don't take care of their feet.
Yeah.
And then if you don't take care of your feet and how do I explain this? So a lot of times people that are unhealthy, and I'm unhealthy, so I'm a hypocrite, but specifically diabetes, you get what's called neuropathy in your feet. And basically
It's a loss of sensation.
Yeah, you lose feeling to your feet.
Which is dangerous.
Yes, it's called diabetic neuropathy or something like that.
Yeah, that's correct.
You'll get a shoe that doesn't fit right, and you'll have part of it that like rubs up against the side of the shoe,
but you won't know it.
Yeah, and you won't feel it, and then you'll get sores on your feet, and it's very common actually that they get bad enough that it requires medical intervention, and it's to a point where people have amputations. And I've seen people with missing toes because of this.
I've seen a lot of missing stuff, or just people who didn't know how to care for their feet or didn't get care soon enough.
Yeah.
Neuropathy is really tricky because I can ask the customer all day, like, how does that feel? And they can't tell me. And so I'm like doing my best to feel their feet for them. Or in many cases, actually, I ran into somebody with neuropathy in one foot and not the other. I ran into that like pretty normally.
Yeah, I could see that. But if you have neuropathy, a lot of times your insurance will, even if you're not older, your insurance will cover shoes actually. And you can't go to like a shoe store to get them. You'll have to Google and search, but it's going to be
like a medical supply store might help you, or like if there's like I know around here the podiatrist was the person that got them set up.
In Iowa, that's very uncommon that a podiatrist would do this. One set of shoes could be $200+.
And they're the ugliest shoes you'll ever have.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm like, a lot of times they're ugly. I don't know how they're even qualified, but where I worked, we sold Dr. Comfort was a brand, and we sold Dr. Comfort shoes, and some of their shoes were really, really, really bad, and we didn't sell them, ironically. They had a lot of shoes that weren't. So basically what happens if you pick your shoe, and even if you pick your shoe, we might be like, that's not the right shoe for you because of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
You might want the cutesy shoe, but 90% of your life or more, that's not what you're going to be wearing.
Yeah.
So those are things you have to think about. And then so this is part of a diabetic shoe, is you get custom inserts. So basically it like fits your foot perfectly, more or less, is kind of how the easiest way to explain it. These are designed so basically like there's nothing that's going to rub up against your foot to help prevent amputation, essentially. And that's why insurance covers them. The other thing that's challenging with fitting diabetic shoes is swelling.
Oh, yeah.
You would have to pay attention to that stuff. And that's why I didn't like enjoy doing this, because it's very personal. it's very...
It requires some education too. You have to educate your customer whether they want to hear it or not. Like, I rarely came from a sales standpoint and more of an education standpoint, which in turn I made more, like, I sold more shoes because I always took a non like salesy approach and instead just like, no pressure, can I educate you, like just a helpful standpoint. And I always made a much like better sale, or they bought more than one or two pairs because I took that approach.
And then, but sometimes on the flip side, a lot of people don't want to hear that.
Oh, how many times I wish I could have, like, if somebody was coming in and they said, oh, my podiatrist is going to make me custom inserts, I'd always say, whoa, 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 have they started yet? And like, I'd always caution people because this, and like, I hope this is advice for whoever's listening. If you're seeing a podiatrist or somebody that's going to make you some kind of custom insert, please, like, the frustration I have with like when a podiatrist or somebody makes these custom inserts, they are only concerned with like how how it fits your foot when the insert is flat on the floor and you stand on it. They have no consideration of how it's going to fit inside the shoe. Oftentimes these custom inserts, which are they're helping you. I understand that, but they're built up in like they're, sometimes they're just so thick, or like maybe they've built you a partial, not a full length. It forces you to buy a shoe in a higher, like a size that isn't suitable for your foot. You're buying a shoe that's bigger just to accommodate this big insert. It causes so many problems. One, you're probably going to be wearing a size that is too big. Your podiatrist is going to be happy you're wearing shoes that are like that. The podiatrist won't be happy that you're wearing shoes that like are too big because they made the insert too big. This is the number one like frustration everyone had when they'd come in. They'd get these inserts and they would wear holes from the inside out. They'd ruin the shoes from the inside out because the insert, especially if it was a partial length, would rub on the sides of the shoes so bad. Like if they were somebody who did a lot of walking, they will ruin your mesh sneakers. They will like... I've just seen so many people with like their podiatrist sold them or, their insurance covered, these $500 inserts, but like it's costing you way more, like because they weren't thoughtful about the like holistic like experience of what's happening with the feet and your footwear. Like most of these people would come in with their new inserts and we just try to find shoes that fit the insert that hopefully weren't going to damage it. And they end up needing like a whole new like shoe wardrobe just because of these silly inserts. The intention was good. And like, I'm not to say that like what a podiatrist is going to do for you is bad, because that's not the case. It just isn't mindful of like the big picture.
Sometimes they're just looking at the foot naked.
Exactly. And not considering like, how is this going to fit in? Like your gait is going to be off if you're wearing shoes that like you're sliding around in because they're too big, but like they needed to accommodate the insert that was made for you. And oftentimes the problem is the insert is too wide and it's not going to work in any shoe. That happened the most, is either the insert rubbed holes from the inside out or the insert was too wide for any shoe at all. And it was just, there was nothing I could do. And I always thought that those were the most disappointing experiences.
Yeah.
All these things you didn't know you needed to know.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Oh my gosh, guys, stay tuned. Maybe next week we'll just do a continuation of like things you didn't know you needed to know. And yeah, I am glad you joined us today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.